Welcome to today's deep dive. You know, you know that feeling when you're standing in the middle of a room, right?
Huh.
Like maybe it is a friend's party or maybe it is a professional mixer,
Oh, yeah, totally.
and someone just turns to you, they smile, and they drop those five terrifying words on you. You know the ones.
Oh, I know exactly what you're going to say. So tell me about yourself.
Yes. Logically, this should be the absolute easiest question in the world, right? I mean, you are the world's leading expert on your own life.
Right, you live it every day.
Exactly. But instead of delivering this smooth, confident answer, your brain just it just empties out. Like it is a complete void. You just freeze like a deer in headlights.
It is so humbling. It's a universally humbling experience, honestly. And, there is actual neuroscience behind why that happens to us.
Wait, really? It's not just me being socially awkward.
No, not at all. When you are put on the spot socially, your amygdala can actually interpret that sudden attention as a threat.
Oh, wow. So it's literally a survival mechanism.
Exactly. It triggers this mild fight or flight response, and that temporarily suppresses your prefrontal cortex, which, is the exact part of your brain responsible for logic and memory recall and complex language.
That is wild.
Yeah, so your brain literally just halts. You forget your job, your hobbies, and occasionally, even your own last name.
Okay, that makes me feel so much better about the times I have fumbled this exact moment. Because today, for this deep dive, we are looking at a blueprint that is basically designed to cure that specific panic.
It is a great resource.
It really is. We are exploring this highly detailed episode plan and script blueprint created for a show called the Easy English Podcast. The source material we're looking at is titled Learn How to Introduce Yourself Confidently in English.
Right, and it's ostensibly designed for non-native speakers.
Exactly. But as we dug into this curriculum, we realized they aren't just teaching vocabulary, right? Like they have basically engineered the underlying psychological formula for a perfect, panic-free introduction, one that literally anyone can use to avoid the awkwardness.
And they tackle that anxiety right out of the gate, like right in the opening lines. In the script's cold open, the characters, Anna and Marco, they validate this fear immediately.
Yeah, they don't pretend it's easy.
Right. Marco actually admits that his brain goes entirely blank every single time someone asks him to introduce himself.
Which is so relatable.
Totally. And that establishes the foundation for everything we are going to explore today. Mastering an introduction is not about having like a massive vocabulary or constructing these beautifully complex sentences.
Right.
It is about having a reliable framework to fall back on when your prefrontal cortex decides to, temporarily shut down.
Right, when the panic sets in.
Hmm.
And the source even highlights a specific vocabulary phrase for this feeling, which they call the freeze up.
The freeze up, yeah.
So instead of letting you freeze up, the blueprint provides its first and I'd say most accessible solution.
Yeah.
And this is aimed at casual settings.
Right, like meeting a classmate or chatting in the kitchen at a house party.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this. The framework they teach starts exactly where you would expect, with a warm greeting and your name. But it is the third piece that really does the heavy lifting here.
Yeah, the anchor.
Yes, you attach a single relevant anchor. Just a little extra information like where you are from, what you do, or maybe a hobby. Just something that gives the other person an immediate hook to respond to.
Right, and we can see how this plays out in the script's specific examples. So Anna's line is, "Hi, I'm Anna. I'm from Delhi, and I love photography."
So simple.
Yeah, and Marco's example flips the order slightly to fit the context, but he says, "Hey, nice to meet you. I'm Marco. I just moved here from Italy."
I mean, these are incredibly low-stakes entry points.
Exactly. They are very inviting.
And they also provide the crucial follow-up phrase to keep the momentum going, which usually is just something like, "So what do you do?" or "I don't think we've met, I'm blanking." But, reading through this section, the explicit instruction the source gives for these casual settings is to ensure the English is short, warm, friendly, and absolutely devoid of big words.
No big words at all.
Yeah. I mean, I look at this casual structure like a conversational appetizer. You do not want to serve a heavy, complicated 5-course meal right away.
No, nobody wants that at a party.
Right. You just offer a light, welcoming bite. But I do have to ask you about this because I question the absolute ban on complex language here. Like, if you are an educated person, why artificially dumb down your vocabulary just because you are at a casual gathering? Shouldn't you just sound like yourself?
Well, what's fascinating here is that brevity and simplicity are actually what build warmth.
Okay, how so?
Well, the blueprint specifically touches on the concept of networking, which is a big vocabulary word for them, meaning building professional connections. But even in a casual networking environment, leaning on simple language is a highly strategic choice.
So it's not about hiding how smart you are.
Not at all. When you use overly complex or formal language in a relaxed setting, you inadvertently build a wall, you know?
I
Like excessive detail puts a massive cognitive burden on the listener
Yeah.
to figure out what actually matters in your introduction.
That makes a lot of sense. Like,
Yeah.
if I start explaining the intricacies of my podcasting setup at a barbecue, the other person has to work really hard to figure out what to ask next.
Exactly. You are putting them to work. By keeping the language simple and providing just one clear anchor, like photography or, moving from Italy, you give them a wide, easy target to hit with a follow-up question.
You are basically making it incredibly easy for them to participate.
Precisely. You are inviting them into a dynamic exchange rather than demanding they process a whole monologue.
Okay, I love that. You don't have to be endlessly fascinating, you just have to be easy to talk to.
Yes, exactly.
But obviously, life is not just casual house parties. Sometimes the stakes are, significantly higher. And the source blueprint does escalate the framework for those environments.
Right, because the casual appetizer won't always cut it.
Yeah, like if you are walking into a job interview or a major industry conference or even your first day at a new company, that relaxed baseline just isn't enough.
No, it's not. The professional structure taught in the script expands into a very deliberate four-part formula.
Okay, walk us through it.
So you still open with your name, obviously, but then you state your specific role or field. That's part 2.
Right.
The third component is attaching one highly relevant achievement or area of expertise. And finally, the fourth part, the secret ingredient that ties the whole thing together, is a forward-looking statement.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting because this is a big shift from the casual one. Let's look at the detailed example the source gives for Anna in professional setting.
Yeah, read Anna's version.
She says, "Hello, I'm Anna Sharma. I'm a marketing coordinator with 3 years of experience in digital campaigns. I recently led a project that increased engagement by 40%. I'm excited to learn more about this role."
Notice the vocabulary words they highlight there, too. Coordinator and engagement.
Yes, very industry specific.
Mm-hmm.
And Marco has a slightly shorter version geared toward an industry event rather than an interview. He says, "Hi, I'm Marco. I work in software development, mainly back-end systems. I'm here to connect with people in the AI space."
Right. And the script actually equips learners with reliable transitional phrases for these moments, too. Things like, "Let me tell you a bit about myself," or "I specialize in," to kind of help bridge the gaps between those 4 components naturally.
Yeah, looking closely at this formula, it is essentially a verbal micro-resume. You are packing your entire professional identity into roughly 15 seconds.
That's a good way to describe it, a micro resume.
But, okay, I am going to push back hard on that third component.
The achievement.
Yes, coming out of the gate and dropping a highly specific metric, like Anna casually mentioning she increased engagement by 40% right after saying hello, that feels incredibly risky to me.
You think so?
Yeah. I mean, if someone did that to me at a networking event, I think I would physically cringe. Doesn't that just sound arrogant, like you're bragging?
Okay. If she stopped talking immediately after delivering that metric, you would be entirely right. It would definitely sound boastful. And more importantly, it would create a conversational dead end.
Because what do I even say to that?
Exactly. If someone says, "I increased engagement by 40% and just stares at you, the only real response is, "Wow, good for you."
Right, it's awkward.
It creates a hierarchy where they are trying to prove they are better or smarter than you. And that is exactly why the fourth component, the forward-looking statement, is the most brilliant piece of this entire formula.
Because it pivots away from the boast.
It completely shifts the spotlight. By immediately following her achievement with, "I'm excited to learn more about this role," or Marco saying, "I'm here to connect with people," the speaker balances an impressive display of competence with immediate humility and curiosity.
Wow, okay. It totally changes the status dynamic, doesn't it?
It does.
You establish your credibility so they know you are worth talking to. You earn your spot. But then you immediately level the playing field by expressing this desire to collaborate or to learn from them. You throw the ball directly back into their court.
Yes. It grounds your confidence in collaboration rather than competition. You are signaling that you are highly capable, sure, but your focus is on the present interaction and the future you might build together, not dwelling on your past wins.
That is actually genius. But, knowing the structural formula, whether it's the casual appetizer or the professional micro resume, that is really only half the battle.
Right, because execution matters.
Exactly. If your delivery is a mess, the perfect script is not going to save you. And that's why the blueprint transitions from the theory of what to say into the physical and psychological reality of how to say it.
Yeah, they specifically address the mistakes people make when they are under pressure.
Right. And the common mistakes in confidence tips segment in the source is, honestly, a really insightful look into the psychology of speaking while anxious.
It really is. The first major mistake they highlight is talking too fast, which is just a purely biological response to nerves.
Right. We just want to get it over with.
Exactly. We feel uncomfortable, so we try to rush through the ordeal to escape the spotlight as quickly as humanly possible.
Yeah. And the second mistake they bring up is trying to memorize a script word for word. The source notes that this is actually a massive trap.
A huge trap.
It leads to the exact panic we're trying to avoid. They advise remembering key ideas rather than exact sentences. I mean, trying to memorize a rigid script is like walking a tightrope without a net.
That's a great analogy.
Right. It might look absolutely flawless in your head, but if you forget a single word, like if the word coordinator just slips your mind under the pressure, the entire structure shatters. You panic and you have no way forward.
And that distinction between memorizing words and remembering a framework is vital. When you memorize a rigid script, you are heavily taxing the recall function of your brain, which, as we already established, is compromised by anxiety.
Right. The amygdala shut that down.
Exactly. But when you memorize a flexible framework, name, role, achievement, goal,
Yeah.
you are just navigating a map. You can use entirely different vocabulary to reach the exact same destination, which makes you far more resilient in the moment.
That makes total sense. They also address the physical component, pointing out that weak body language, like looking down or crossing your arms, actively diminishes your perceived authority.
Right. People read your body before you even speak.
Yeah, and the fix is remarkably simple. Just stand tall, smile, and make direct eye contact. But I have to say, it is the psychological tricks they offer that really stand out to me.
Like the opening word trick.
Yes. One of the most actionable pieces of advice is to use a strong opening word, simply saying hi, hello, or so before launching into your actual introduction.
Yeah.
But why does adding one literal throwaway word make such a difference?
Well, because it functions as a linguistic shock absorber.
Oh, I like that. A shock absorber.
Yeah. By leading with a simple, universally understood word like so, you grant yourself a physical second to breathe and center yourself before you have to deliver the actual substantive information.
Right. It takes zero brain power to say so.
Exactly. It allows you to break the silence and claim the conversational space on your own terms without immediately demanding high-level cognitive function.
Now, this concept of silence and pacing brings up a really revealing detail that was actually buried in the production notes of this document.
Oh, the editing note.
Yes. There is an explicit behind-the-scenes instruction directed at the audio editor of the Easy English podcast. The editor is told to trim long pauses, but keep 1 to 2 second natural pauses for pacing.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, that editing note is a profound reflection of the core philosophy they are trying to impart to the listener.
How so?
The producers are actively engineering the audio file to manufacture the sound of confidence.
Yes, because anxiety completely distorts our perception of time. When you are the one speaking and you lose your train of thought, a 1 second pause feels like an agonizing eternity.
I feel like an hour.
Right. And the instinct is to immediately fill that void with ums, ahs, or just rambling filler words.
But the listener experiences that same exact second of silence completely differently. To the person listening, a deliberate pause does not sound like panic. It sounds thoughtful. It sounds measured.
Exactly.
The producers leave those brief moments of silence in the audio because they know that taking a moment to breathe projects total control.
We judge our own pauses infinitely more harshly than anyone else does. And this actually ties into the overarching thesis of the entire episode plan, which Marco highlights in the script. Native speakers ultimately care about connection, not perfection.
That is the golden rule.
Yeah. Slipping up on grammar or having an accent is completely irrelevant if the intent is genuine.
Because perfection is often used as a defensive mechanism, right? People assume that if their grammar is completely flawless and their vocabulary is highly sophisticated, they are shielded from judgment or rejection.
Like armor.
Exactly. But human beings are not drawn to flawless robots. We connect with warmth, a genuine smile, eye contact, and a clear desire to interact.
Well said. And the source material does not just leave these concepts as abstract theories. It actually demands immediate, practical application to ensure the frameworks actually stick with the listener.
Yeah, they put them to work.
The script features this practice challenge segment that assigns literal homework. Listeners are challenged to record a 30-second audio clip of themselves delivering one casual introduction and one professional introduction.
And they are instructed to post those recordings using the hashtag #EasyEnglishPodcast, which is pretty brave.
It is. And what stands out in the production notes for this segment is how carefully the producers curate the environment for this challenge.
Right, they set a very specific vibe.
Yes. The tone of the host is directed to be warm, encouraging, and slightly playful. And the editor is instructed to use a light, upbeat 5 to 8 second intro and outro jingle around the homework assignment.
Which is so smart.
It really is. They're intentionally constructing an auditory safe space to encourage vulnerability. Because let's be honest, recording your own voice and putting it out there on the internet is an incredibly uncomfortable thing to do.
This raises an important question, though, about why it's so uncomfortable. It forces a real confrontation with reality.
Oh, totally.
There is almost always a significant gap between how we perceive our own voices internally and how others actually hear us. When we speak, we hear our voice resonating through our skull, which makes it sound deeper and smoother.
Right, the dreaded voice recording playback. Everyone hates it.
Exactly. But more importantly, our internal narrative distorts our performance. We either think we sounded incredibly polished, or, more often, we assume we sounded like a complete stuttering disaster.
Taking out your phone and actually recording that 30-second pitch strips away all of those illusions. It forces objective self-evaluation.
You can't hide from the recording.
You really can't. You hear exactly where you rush your words, where you forget to take a breath, and where you fail to utilize those 1-second pauses we talked about. It is deeply cringeworthy at first, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
But it is undeniably the fastest way to bridge the gap between how you think you sound and how you actually present yourself to the world.
It is the ultimate reality check. You cannot fix a habit until you can objectively observe it.
So what does this all mean for you? I actually want to pass this direct challenge on to you, the listener of this deep dive. If you had to stop what you were doing right now, pull out your voice memo app and record a 30-second professional pitch, would your brain freeze?
It's a great question.
Could you smoothly hit those 4 beats, name, role, achievement, forward-looking statement, without overthinking every single syllable?
Most people couldn't on the first try.
Probably not. As we wrap up this deep dive into the Easy English Podcast blueprint, let's lock in the core takeaways you can start using the next time you find yourself at a mixer. First, for casual introductions, keep it short, warm, and highly accessible. You are serving a conversational appetizer, right? Just offering enough of a hook to invite the other person into a dialogue.
Right. And second, for those high-stakes professional environments, utilize that 4-part micro-resume structure. State your field, offer a specific metric of your competence, but immediately pivot to a forward-looking statement of curiosity.
That pivot is key.
It really is. That is exactly how you project high value while maintaining the humility necessary for genuine collaboration.
And finally, true confidence is not about perfectly memorized scripts or flawlessly executed grammar. It really comes down to trusting your framework, taking intentional breaths, utilizing brief pauses to control your pacing, and prioritizing human connection over linguistic perfection.
Connection over perfection.
Exactly. Whether you are navigating a brand new language or just trying to survive an intimidating industry event in your native tongue, relying on these structural blueprints is the ultimate antidote to the conversational void. If you want to put this into practice, the source actually suggests utilizing their show notes to download a practice script and physically try recording yourself.
And you should. It is a purely mechanical skill. And like any other mechanical skill, human interaction can be mapped, practiced, and refined.
I want to leave you with a final thought to consider as you go about your day. The golden rule this curriculum drills into non-native English learners is connection over perfection, right?
Yeah.
So think about the native speakers in your own industry. How often do they completely fail at introductions because they do the exact opposite?
Oh, all the time.
Right. How often do we all hide behind dense, complex, perfect professional jargon just to protect our egos and sound important, completely sacrificing the opportunity to make a genuine human connection?
That's a trap we all fall into.
It really is. Next time you are asked, "So tell me about yourself," remember that the person asking doesn't want a flawless robotic performance. They just want a framework, a smile, and a willingness to connect. That is how you stop the freeze and start the conversation.